I like to compare the Cyberpunk 2077 experience to that of masturbating with sandpaper. The optimization and the bugs truly are painful, but once it starts to hit the spot, damn, does it feel good. I in no way think this game is terrible, and although CD Projekt Red is getting shit on like a truck stop bathroom, I think it's time we taint this bad boy with my shitpost vernacular and verbose commentary. Can you beat Cyberpunk 2077 with only your fists? After hearing the self-imposed challenge, most mortals will be scared, pissing in their gym shorts, reaching to suck on their mother's teat for comfort, especially since in Cyberpunk, guns and hacking are an essential part to the game's ecosystem. But that is why I am here. I will generously teach you the intricacies of the delicate art known as fisting and its forceful, methodical, and blunt way of telling others that they are wrong. As for the rules this run, I could only damage enemies with my fists unless forced into other methods by the game itself. No cybernetic implants can be used, and melee weapons will be avoided the entire run. It's time to pour ourselves a glass of Hawaiian punch and sit back. Will we be able to, as the young men say nowadays, throw dem hands without getting served a full-course meal of lead salad? Will CD Projekt Red and this game's melee system provide to us the foreign yet satisfying sensation that is destroying our enemies and their rectums? Let's find out the questions to these answers together. In the year 2077, K-pop stans and furries have become extinct, Twitter is still a cesspool of shitty opinions and horny teenagers, and plastic surgery is now a household norm thanks to a breakthrough discovery in genital enhancement. In a poetic gesture, I modeled V after a well-known legend and the only viable option for this run. I have once said that the Doomslayer was molded, sculpted, and tempered in the great fires of the Mount Clapass Smithy, and this current iteration of V was crafted right beside him. V, aka Saitama, aka Richard Price, was put on this planet to bring dehumanizing deaths to any enemy that opposed him. Also, for those curious, yes, I did give him a massive penis. None of these intros truly mattered, and most of it is just fluff, so I'll give you the spark notes of what happened here. Black Ops Cold War man and his bodyguard that I'm sure only peaked as a high school bully gave me the opportunity of a lifetime, and that opportunity was to become dummy rich with them V-Bucks. Unfortunately, celestial police officers that teleport through walls ruined our parade and caught us young thugs breaking the law. I was let loose because those officers knew of the great things that I would accomplish and the prostates I was bound to tickle with my two fists. Fast forward to present day, we are now homeless and starving. Jackie and I were willing to do anything and everything to make a quick buck. That brings us to our first gig. Jackie wanted to take these men on quietly, but as you can see, I'm neurologically impaired. Once my first punch connected, it was over. Taken on a roller coaster through the craziest of wet dreams. The sensation was infallible, and I won't beat around the bush anymore. I committed genocide with these babies, and it felt fucking great. Sandra was rescued, and then immediately thereafter unrescued, as I wanted to see if suicide was possible during the first mission, which by the way, it is. And after she was evac'd, it was time for Jackie and I to celebrate a job well done. Despite Night City's surrealistic and inviting appearance, this place fucking sucked. Cyberpunk's world, and I'm talking about Cyberpunk 2077 of course, not to be confused with the other game of the same title, Cyberpunk Naughty Girls XXX, is absolutely unforgiving. A whole 4 minutes after finishing the first mission, scavengers had come to make my life difficult. Thankfully, not a single bullet has to be fired during this sequence, because these tumors did an excellent job of getting rid of themselves. Jackie dropped me off. I realized that V had serial killer tendencies sleeping the way he did, and then learned of a heist that would not only have us bathing in V-Bucks for life, but was mandatory to continue the story. Let's ease off the gas a bit and discuss how we are going to get through this festival we'll be attending. Unarmed combat in this game is incredibly jank, and running a fist-only build when there is a sea of other weapons to choose from is equivalent to willingly wiping your ass with a nail filer. Should you take on this challenge, you are pretty much forfeiting any fun you'll ever have with this game. If we open up our textbooks to page 41 of Ninjas Get Good, the ultimate guide to gaming, you will see here that it is common practice to map out components that would make us better players. Armor and the brawler skill tree will be the catalyst to our victory, and thanks to our all-seeing and merciful gaming overlord, we were able to recognize that without a hassle. The brawler tree brings skills that allow us to provide our enemies with that 1-2 5-finger death punch Samsung Spin Cycle 4000, which is a vital technique to our success. If you enjoy living life dangerously, armor may not be your cup of septic water, but since I am playing through this game on hard difficulty, I will be using it from time to time. If you follow these steps correctly and read through the entirety of our divine being's book in a candlelit room under a poster specifically in a corner that is already riddled with autism, I can assure you that you will return victorious. Now that we're all settled in, let's get back to the run. To begin the heist, we first had to deal with not one but two nuisances, except one of them isn't so much a nuisance as it is a philosophical discussion with my fists. Maelstrom, the gang of micro dick energy goons, had a drone that was imperative to the success of our heist. There was probably a non-violent solution here, but after having a quick chat, I decided that these men were insults to humanity and needed to be exterminated immediately. I was able to throw dem hands at an exceptional level and clear the entire building in about 15 minutes. With our first objective down, it was time to tackle the second and get this heist running. We needed to get a bit of information on the item we would be stealing. This specific part of the story has a whole lot of talking, so I'll be skipping over a majority of what happened. Important character Evelyn informed me that she would be assisting us with the job and that she was the one who originally had intel on the item we were going to be stealing. I used a VR headset to watch a man taste the sweet taste of not being able to taste anymore, and then used said headset to find the location of the bad boy that was going to make us dummy rich. Important character Evelyn also told me that she wanted to fuck over the man orchestrating the heist like a fleshlight, and truthfully, this bit isn't important. I just wanted to use that line in the script for the funsies. After this heist, I'll be going from cum rags to cum riches. The plan was simple. We walk into a major corporation's headquarters, sneak our way to the master suite, steal a drive that contains a carbon copy of big man Keanu Reeves' consciousness, the man known for destroying every man and woman's panties by just uttering a single phrase, and then while escaping, hide in a cubbyhole as the chairman of the said corporation have a friendly chat. There was no way that things could possibly go wrong. Okay, I lied. Things are going wrong. It turns out that there was mutiny aboard this floating septic tank. The two men we just watched were father and son. Yorinobu killed his father so he could take over leadership of the corporation known as Arasaka. This was all bad timing because once it was discovered that we had snuck into the headquarters, that titty-sucking motherfucking Saints Row Johnny Gat looking blamed us for the murder of his father, and now the entirety of Arasaka's security forces were coming for my pussy. I thought I was invincible up until this point. 8 deaths, a mini boss stuck in the Matrix, and getting about as high as a giraffe's genitals 57 times later, I was able to get out of that greasy place without losing too much of my sanity, but escaping was only the beginning. During the getaway scene, we are unfortunately forced into shooting the drones that are chasing us. My tolerance asshole was stretched once again. Another game that forces you into combat in order to proceed with the story. Even though some of you may think that this isn't very cash money of me, we are going to ignore these forced sequences and carry on, even though shooting these enemies brought me undeniable guilt and pain. If you close your eyes hard enough, you could see the disappointment in my parents' eyes and the tent that was pitched in my trousers now starting to fall over. From now on, anytime I am forced to kill an enemy without my tenderizers, I will throw a counter up on the screen. Jackie decided it was his time to log off and entrusted me with the chip that we just stole. I placed it inside my brain hole and then immediately failed the tune-in exam after deciding to trust someone I shouldn't have. With that bullet, Saitama passed over into the void, and in that void, we experienced Valhalla. I know we all wish one day that when we inevitably pass, we can enter a sandbox and live out our lives RPing as the divine being Keanu Reeves. Unfortunately, we won't be playing him to his fullest extent, as his signature weapon, a revolver that is ribbed for his and her pleasure, is out of the question due to my devotion to fisting. The bomb had been planted, terrorists win, and Johnny Sins had been captured, his consciousness removed and put inside of a chip. This all leads back full circle. That chip, of course, was in our head, hence the reason we were able to briefly transform into God himself. After taking a dip into what seemed to be the visually opposite of a deep fried meme, I regained consciousness and found myself in a YouTuber apology yard. You guys get it? Because, you know, all YouTuber apologies are trash. Okay, no, let's cut this out. Edgy Fat Albert was dead, Johnny Gat's other bodyguard kidnapped me, and this game proved once again to not appeal to the video game challenged minority. But after I killed them all off, Takemura, the guy that was being hunted, got us both out of there and to the nearest doctor. The good news was, Keanu Reeves and I were metaphysically performing a fusion dance and are soon to become one. And the cause of this scenario was the bullet I took to the dome. Or because I forgot to blow on the chip like a Nintendo 64 64 cartridge before inserting it. The bad news is the main character thought that this was a problem. So much of a problem that the entire plot of this game is based around finding out how to remove the chip I inserted 10 minutes ago. If it were me, I would gladly give up my consciousness and cadaver to Keanu Reeves any day of the week. But it looks like V and I didn't see brown eye to brown eye. Important character woman Evelyn was first on our list of leads. There was a lot of talking, but I didn't care. Too much story for my fist. Her best friend pointed me in the direction of her location, and that location so happened to be the Walt Disney-owned favor parlor, Clouds, trademarked and patented. Upon arriving and choosing my compatible match, I was greeted by security guards that I assume knew what was bound to happen. These Neanderthals opened fire for absolutely no reason once I entered Clouds. Whether it was a glitch or not, it was here that I made the vital decision to not back down and reload a save. Brute forcing my way through Clouds wasn't too difficult, especially with the surplus of healing I had on standby. Eventually, I got to our second technical boss fight of the run, and that shit was an absolute joke. To those that are visually impaired and or listening while they drive to work, I'll explain what happened. Thanks to skills I had unlocked in the brawler tree, my heavy punches were pretty much rendering this man a vegetable. Every swing put him into a state of prolonged dormancy. I tossed this man's salad so hard, I may as well call him Romaine. It was blatant that Evelyn wasn't here, but on Romaine's PC, I found leads that could lead us straight to her. Your boy went in fist blazing to the next area and had a little chat with a man who was built like a botched tit job. He let me know that his hairline wasn't the only thing that needed saving here. Evelyn was in danger and I needed to save her. Inside the compound where Evelyn was being held, I began my pillage. It was up to me, your least favorite challenge YouTuber, Judy, Evelyn's best friend, and me to save this woman from her torture. After taking a few too many hits to my pride, aka having to hide and heal, this area didn't turn out too bad. To make things exciting, this is where we were hit with a little curveball. Progressively, the challenge was increasing, and the AI was beginning to target explosive tanks because they detected me getting too close. This was clearly implemented to make this a little more difficult than usual, but when you're the Mahatma Gandhi of gaming, there's not much that could... Evelyn was rescued, and although she needed rest, Judy was able to scour her behavioral chip for the information that I needed. Here in the world of Cyberpunk, privacy laws clearly don't apply. During the VR session, it was made apparent that Evelyn had a second agenda from the start, and we all fell for the oldest trick in the book that she just wrote. She was actually working with an conglomerate full of prolific internet gangsters, and they were going to use a Keanu chip to hopefully get into contact with an entity named Alt. I contacted a man on potential leads to this group of netrunners, but of course this part of the quest was time gated, so I took Keanu's advice and met with an old friend of his. She followed the philosophy of most people and wouldn't do anything for free. Now normally this would be a problem, but thanks to my endowed meatsicles and top of the line fighting technique, I was able to make a quick few thousand V-Bucks without any hiccups. With admission paid, she informed me of a Kang Tao transport that was doing its job transporting a high-valued target. That target just so happened to work on the chip that was slowly allowing Johnny Reeves to f*** my body. This abduction wasn't going to be easy. That is why Rogue entrusted me with the help of Pan Am, Cyberpunk's equivalent to Ellie from the Borderlands series. As per usual fashion, the only way Pan Am would assist me in my endeavors is if I agreed to help her first. Hey guys, Editor Senza here to fill you in on a little naughty that happened just recently. I edited around 12 minutes of footage after this part and somehow lost it all due to a saving error. Not only did this suck turbo testicles, but led to morale being considerably low on this video. I lost around 12 hours of work, and with it being already 1 month of not a single upload, I decided I shouldn't keep you guys waiting any longer. So fair warning, the rest of this video is going to be nothing but jump cuts and pans. There won't be any of that edgy shit all over the place editing I normally do to satisfy my ADHD, and it truly hurts editing like this. But we'll do it just this time, and who knows, maybe some of you will enjoy it a bit more. I hope I don't disappoint any of you guys. I appreciate all of you, your patience, and the fact that you guys are here and allow me to do this. And yeah, I don't know. That's all I really have to say. Love you, enjoy the rest of the video, you little turds, and have a great week. And although I'm a very busy man, I happily obliged. Her prized possession was stolen by a rival nomad gang. Could we have just asked nicely for the vehicle? Probably, yes. Was violence needed? No, but in the world of Senza, it most definitely was. Once she was reunited with her vehicle, she asked me if I would like to join her on a new excursion, a new adventure, in which I would be able to satisfy that insatiable itch I had for absolutely demolishing ass cheeks. My mouth was salivating just at the thought, especially after all this dialogue I had been sitting through. We entered that cave and I had never seen such a beautiful display of teamwork. I would be surprised if these men didn't release the floodgates on their bowels once they saw us pulling in. I would too if I saw a man with a combined 62 inches of pure arm length and a slightly chubbed wiener knocking out my colleagues with just a few punches. I could safely speak for all of them when I say that this experience was far from enjoyable. It was time to abduct the man who could help me with the chip in my head. Getting to him though would involve ambushing an aerial vehicle, which, as you've probably guessed it, would mean I'd have to use weapons other than my fists. I really did want to believe that this game was done forcing me to do things I didn't want to, but once Pan Am told me I needed to calibrate the turret, it was over. No sentence has ever made me that flaccid in my entire life. During these two parts, I did attempt to avoid using the turret, but refusing to do so would lead to either you dividing by zero or infinitely driving in a circle. Probably the only good thing to come out of this section of the game was when Keanu let us know that his cyber schlong was above modest size. Thankfully, the end of this mission would allow me to redeem myself. After deactivating the turrets, it turns out that I was cucked. The man I was looking for had transported to another location, awaiting evac. Some would say that this news was ass, but not that much ass. It was the dimples above the ass cheeks. Besides dying 5 times, becoming infatuated with how terrible my shadow looked, and punching someone so hard I made an entire vehicle disappear, this part wasn't too bad. Everyone who was associated in the war crimes committed against my body were exterminated, and Hellman, the man I was searching for, was now in my possession. After some questioning, the man who looked like he wrote reviews for every single sex doll available on Amazon told me that I was as good as f***ed. The inevitability of me becoming Keanu was this much closer. I left Takemura with Hellman and then was finally contacted on a lead for the whereabouts of the group of net running professionals. The Voodoo Boys had access to a woman that could get me on the deep net, and I'm not talking 4chan. I'm talking so deep Belle Delphine could probably sell her toenail clippings for $7K a pop. Getting on the deep net was a massive play. From there, Keanu Silverhand and I could talk to Alt, an entity that was sure to help us in our current situation. But all men only want one thing, and it's disgusting. I first had to do a job for them before they could help me. A rival gang named the Animals were invading Voodoo Boy turf, and Placide needed someone with a certain expertise. These genetic anomalies were a true match to my strength. They subsisted on a full-fledged diet of steroids and G-Fuel via IV injection. Instead of trying to sway you guys with a poor attempt at humor, I'll just hit you with the cold hard truth. This was the first difficult area of the game. The turns had tabled. I was now the one getting my asshole blasted with fist. If virtual Senza had hypothetical parents in this world, they would be as equally disappointed as his real-life parents. 18 resets later, I was able to recover from the incessant pounding without the aid of any medicinal cream, but that was because I was playing 5D chess. I planned ahead so that I would save that cream for a later venture, because I knew I was going to have to deal with Sasquatch. Surprisingly, I thought she would get the best of me, especially since she was healing back all of the damage I dealt to her. But thanks to a terrible design flaw in her Gerber Life Alert pack, I was able to destroy it in a single punch. They should probably fix that, by the way. Thus stopping the stim pack juice from entering her bloodstream and allowing me to carry on God's work. Before I could let Placide know that he was soon to be walking around with a new asshole, the woman I had been looking for interrupted our playground showdown. She offered to get me onto the dark web as long as she could also have a word with Alt. For my first time on the net, I would have gone with the state-of-the-art RGB water-cooled system by Corsair, but the Voodoo turds and their dollar store cooling system will do for now. I closed my eyes and passed into the void, immediately thrown into a flashback of Keanu's past life, specifically the time where a fan craved Keanu's embrace so much they were willing to take a hot load of his lead all over their face. To add to this exciting moment, not even 10 minutes later, we find out that Alt was actually a person, and Keanu Keanu completed his laid any percent speedrun. With his dick hard but ego flaccid, Alt tore Keanu a new one and stormed off, only to be kidnapped by Arasaka goons. The rest of this flashback involved us putting together the Avengers to try and save Alt from her captors. I did, once again, fail the challenge during a mandatory blockbuster-esque shootout scene, but after the restraints were lifted, I had no problem pounding away to my heart's content. There was so much fisting going on that this part of the video actually had to be censored to protect the public. Johnny finally got to Alt, but she was gone, to work as a net-running slave for the Arasaka Corporation. Her physical body still here, but her consciousness elsewhere. This flashback was a big development to the story, as it allowed us to pinpoint her even deeper within the net. I had my swim trunks on and was ready to take a dive into the horrors that was the dark web. Truthfully, I was a little underwhelmed. I was expecting like, I don't know, a few leaked celebrity nudes, maybe even one of those spooky videos where a person puts a bottle in their rectum, but instead we just got a hologram of Alt and a visual representation of what happened to our Xbox 360's hardware when it suffered a stroke. As Alt and Johnny spoke in binary arithmetic, they put together a plan to try and save me from the impending Keanu takeover. We were going to break into the Arasaka HQ for the 4th time because, you know, the security is understaffed and underpaid, and get to Mikoshi, where the Keanu chip was created. From there, Alt could assist in separating us conjoined balls of testosterone and end this once and for all. When I returned to the real world, Brigitte's usefulness had come to an abrupt end, and the rest of her men followed suit. My actions did suffer a few consequences, but hey, it was worth it because I got to see that smug Placide go flaccid. Okay, that was a little too much. That was bad. Takamura insisted on the possibility of another outcome. With his Professor Xavier Turbo Jimmy Neutron intelligence, we put together a plan. We were to sabotage a parade and kidnap Hanako, the daughter of the man that was murdered at the beginning of the game and the sister of the man who murdered him. I didn't even question his plan, authority, or the potential danger to the surrounding populace. Once he told me that I, a sensei in the craft of clapping ass, was going to be needed to make this all work, I was in. I was one last job away from proving my worthiness to Senpai Takamura. He gave me that PowerPoint rundown and tasked me with taking out the snipers that were to be defending the parade. It was going to take everything I learned from this run and my liberal arts degree to make this go as smoothly as possible. With the parade now starting, there was no time to sit around admiring the floats. By the grace of God, I was going to make sure things went flawlessly and didn't mess up at all, ever. Like I did things perfectly and nothing went wrong. The first sniper I stumbled across just so happened to lose the heartbeat lottery, and there was no way the rest of Arasaka's men could survive the wreckage that was their skulls being punched in. Final Sniper Man was far more advanced than I was, but the landmines and defense bots couldn't stop the inevitable. I could have spared his life, yes, but I'm already morally bankrupt, so one more fisting to add to the books wouldn't hurt. Takamura hit up my DMs with info that an Arasaka netrunner had taken over the network, and if she wasn't stopped, this whole operation would be a failure. I threw my ass into 4th gear and sped over to that little cum stain to secure this W. As I began the process of removing this netrunner's power cable, a cog was thrown into my gear. The most anime super villain to have ever villained came to contest all that I've done. As most of the fights in this game, this man was an absolute pushover. I delivered my full concentrated meat straight to this thing on a platter and showed him what it truly meant to be a man. Takamura hit Hanako with one of those state-of-the-art NyQuil projectiles, and he told me to meet with them at a rendezvous spot to further discuss the plan. While making my way there, I was face-fucked by Takamura's codename Kids Next Door secret password, and then explained to Hanako what truly happened to her father. Unfortunately, it took her far too long to remove her reluctance tampon. Yorinobu knew of our location and called in the Amazon Prime hit squad to silence us for good. Conveniently, I was in a position that would allow me to survive, but my senpai Takamura, not so much. From the beginning of this run, I had already decided on the Keanu ending, so there was no way anyone could sway me otherwise. In order to unlock Johnny's ending, we had to do a few side quests. They went somewhere along the lines of this. Keanu took my body on a testosterone test drive. Rogue and I slapped up a couple of fools to find the location of Adam Smasher. And then Keanu did his best to smash her, but it failed. So big F in chat for my boy Johnny Silverhand's penis.
Damn, this boy's thick.
This was it, the final mission. The plan was to let Keanu take over from here and wrap this baby up. Johnny and Rogue were going to fight their way through Arasaka Corporation's Sky Dildo and meet with Alt and Mikoshi. Rogue got the team ready. I reminded Alt that Daddy was coming home, and we set off in the chopper, ready to drop Tilted Towers. Inside was quite the doozy, because without any sort of weaponry, having to run up to my enemies and fist them guaranteed my health bar would get karate flipped in half every single time. These beings were powerful, but they were also unbelievably stupid. So I like to think that I was doing the world a favor, deleting their brain system 32 folder. They blasted and I punched our way through to security and then made it to the final room. Where I failed to smash, Adam succeeded. Next time, we leave the smashing to the expert. That expert being Adam Smasher. Okay, listen, please don't click off the video. We're almost done, all right? By this point, I somehow ran out of healing, so I had to rely on a perk that gave you health regen after every heavy punch. These last few punches felt amazing. The sound of fists meeting skin, or I guess in Adam's case, metal, was glorious. A song that could bring all gods and important people together. A song that held healing powers so potent it could be administered in hospitals around the world. You cannot beat Cyberpunk with only your fists. But if you decide to overlook parts where you are forced to use other means, then you may disagree. In Mikoshi, most of you would think that I chose the only right option and gave my body to Keanu so he could have full reign. But f you, I'ma hit you with that plot twist. I let V have his body back, sending Johnny into the void with Alt. Never get too comfortable here on the Senza YouTube channel. You'll never know what happens next. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you enjoy the crusades we carry out on this channel, then maybe even hit that sub button and notification bell. Thank you to the Diaper Booty Chairman for funding this video. And if you made it to the end, be sure to comment Keanu Reeves is waifu of the year so I can heart your comment. For those curious where my Doom Eternal Power Glove video is, well, here is an update. My glove needed to be sent in for fixing. Sometime between last month and now, the wiring inside the actual receivers have seemed to be having trouble connecting to the sensor bar. This wouldn't be a problem if Doom Eternal didn't have all of those platforming sections. So please be patient and I will deliver when I can. See you all in the next video, and happy holidays, you Turbo Chads. Thanks for watching.